Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's BDF44 coming at you with another video. Okay, so it's been a little while since I made a video. Of course, my team won the championship. I'm still a champion. That hasn't changed. I feel good about it. I'm loving this championship. It's one of those things that just gets progressively better. To be honest with you, it's a very strange championship because of the nature of it. But it feels like it's like the feeling catches up to you as time progresses throughout this off season, as people continue to say the Lakers are champions, as you continue to think about what they've done and how they've accomplished their goal. I'm just really proud of my squad. I'm proud of the ownership. I'm proud of everybody, the coaching staff and everybody. And I just want to start off by saying it really, really feels good to be a champ. But, and the but is not a serious but that's behind us now. It's still time to celebrate, but we're going to be rushing through off season, and there's a lot ahead, and the Lakers are going to have to make some decisions on some rosters, some guys on the roster. So the first thing I want to talk about in regards to my team is the bigs. Dwight Howard is a free agent. I believe JaVale McGee is as well. Dwight came to us on a non-guaranteed contract. That's the words I'm trying to find. Non-guaranteed contract for little to no money. I think under $1 million, and that type of sacrifice was worthy for him to get his championship, and he got it. Now, this is somebody who got his money first, obviously. So Dwight Howard is well in the green, to say the least. But I think, just responsibly speaking, having another payday before he retires would be a very wise move for him. And I don't think that he gets that payday here, even though I find him to be as valuable as whatever he's probably going to be paid at this point. I do not think the Lakers have the money to give him and still construct a championship roster around AD and LeBron. I think he's going to want about a 3-year deal. And I think it's probably going to be upwards of probably $6 or $7 million a year. And that's just me thinking off top. It could be more, could be less, but that's just me thinking off top. So freestyling that one, but I just don't think he's going to have trouble finding that money. I don't think after what we've seen from him being durable all year long, him having a history of being very durable despite the serious injuries, ironically, but 9 straight years where he's just absolutely and utterly dominant for 9 years in Orlando. You just don't want to undermine what you think his potential is if you're a team like, say, Dallas or somebody who may be a suitor for him. So I do believe he gets what he's asking for. I think he deserves it. So that means, what do we find? Who do we go get to replace him? I've heard the Lakers talking about some names. I haven't looked at the free agent list, so I really don't know. I didn't come as prepared as I'd like to be. But what I can say is what the Lakers are going to need is to continue to keep size around. I've heard Hassan Whiteside's name floating around. So he's somebody we could take a look at, and obviously there are other guys out there on the waiver wire as well that we could try to supplement our size situation with. But I think you got to be careful. You got to be careful in the sense that Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee were so very important because they allowed AD to play power forward. And that was great for him in some ways because it kept him comfortable, even though he was more effective as a 5. He prefers to play the 4, and I think it's for durability reasons. So that's fine. He doesn't want to bang. We want him to be happy, first and foremost. But the thing about that is you don't want to get stiffs. You don't want to find yourself grabbing centers just to be grabbing centers for the sake of having centers. You want to get guys who can do things and guys who can live, who can make it through a season, who can make it and be fairly durable. Dwight Howard's durability was something we could rely upon. And, because he stayed healthy all year long, we always found ourselves bigger than everyone else. JaVale McGee was healthy for the majority of the season, but we didn't really even need him to be as healthy. He just needed to supplement what AD and Dwight already brought to the table. Whatever we got from him was good enough. Going into this season, seeing as how they've constructed constructed the roster that we had so well with so little resources, we're going to have more resources this year. I think the cap should be, we should be able to maneuver through the cap a little better with what we expect to have going forward. Obviously, AD is expected to resign. It's already been reported that he's made his decision. I don't trust that at all, and it has nothing to do with whether or not I believe he's going to sign or not. It just has to do with just having had my heart broken many times, thinking that things were a done deal, reading sources that were supposed to be credible, and then all of a sudden stuff that they give you was trash. So I will believe AD is a Laker when the Lakers release a statement saying he's signed. But until then, I'm still not comfortable at all. But all things are pointing toward him resigning, so you should feel confident if you're a Laker fan that he's going to resign. With that being said, we have some other free agents to address and guys that we have to, probably part ways with if we can't afford to keep him. A guy like Rajon Rondo, I think he's going to want to come back to the Lakers because I think he knows that the brain trust with the Lakers are going to allow him to continue to have a role in constructing a championship caliber situation, a roster, whatever. He's going to have more power on the Lakers than he'll probably find anywhere else in the league. And the reason why that is because he's gained the trust of the coaching staff and, of course, the superstars. Anthony Davis is somebody he's played with for years. Before coming to the Lakers, he's very comfortable playing with AD. He knows AD, and now he's won one with AD. I think unlike Dwight Howard, I don't think Rajon's going to probably go after the money like people expect him to. I think he's going to want to be in a good situation. Rajon has a very unique personality, and that personality doesn't always take well to every locker room, and I think he's found a locker room that he's probably the happiest locker room he's been in since he won a championship with the Celtics. So, I don't know. But my gut is telling me Rajon is going to choose happiness over money in this situation. And a lot of people are saying that the Clippers are the best place for him, if not the Lakers. I would agree. They need a point guard. They need a facilitator. I think that Ty Lue and he could fit well together because they fit well together in Boston when Ty Lue was a assistant coach there. So I don't think that would be a bad decision for Rondo if he goes there. From a personal standpoint, as a Laker fan, it would devastate us all. But it is a good fit. It's a good fit. But I would like to see him return to the Lakers. We still love having a facilitator to go along with LeBron James. I would expect the Lakers to continue to invest in that, making sure that we have a facilitator, regardless if we are able to re-sign Rajon. Derrick Rose is a name that's been floating around a lot in regards to the Lakers. I think we would have to trade to get him. He's in Detroit. I'm a Derrick Rose fan. I don't want anybody to think that I have anything less than respect for Derrick Rose. I just have one. I don't know if I love Derrick Rose on the team that we just had. Now, granted, you put a team together, you can make it any way you want to. And right now we have a clean slate because most of our players are free agents. So we can construct this thing to fit Derrick Rose a little better than maybe the team that we just had. So I don't want people to think that I expect that we're going to bring back everything and just Derrick Rose to be included in that. I don't envision that at all. But just looking at Derrick Rose and where he was in his career when he was with Cleveland, he wasn't able to make much of an impact there with LeBron James. Granted, that was a dysfunctional situation. I just don't know if I love Derrick Rose this stage in his career for my team as having a pivotal role on my team. If he's going to be a role player playing behind somebody, sixth man of the year kind of role, he can be a dominant bench player for us, to say the least. Derrick Rose is an MVP in this league, one of the more clutch players out there, one of the more fierce slashers. Even now, he can still get to the rim with when he wants to, basically. And he's had some good seasons over the last 3 years. He's kind of turned this thing into a respectable after superstardom type of career, a la Grant Hill. He's really made himself a fantastic player in this league after stardom, just like Rondo, just like Dwight. They've managed to navigate the waters of the NBA very well. So I like Derrick Rose. If we bring Derrick Rose in, I'm gonna love having him here. But I just don't know if I'm thinking about putting together a team, if he's gonna be on that roster that I'm putting together. I just don't think that's where my head goes. But if we get Derrick Rose, I hope we get it, and I hope he wins it with us. So I welcome him here. I do. Bradley Beal is a name that's being floated around. I just love the idea of having Bradley Beal, but I just don't believe that we have enough to acquire him. I think that the Wizards are going to be able to put together a better deal elsewhere. You're just going to find a better deal. The Clippers can put together a better deal. The Bucks can put together a better deal. Warriors obviously can put together a better deal. You can name many teams. Philly might have a better deal on the table than we do for Beal. So there's just a lot of places that Beal is going to be suited for. Miami may want to put together something for him, although they don't have to. They have the pieces. So there are places Beal can go if he does find himself on the move. I'm also not ruling out that he stays with the Wizards. He's been re-signing with the Wizards. They've never been any good, so he's just happy there. What can you say? I mean, some people don't have any desires to move from what's comfortable for them, regardless of what greener pastures may be over here. At the end of the day, Bradley Beal has his own way of doing things. Of course, he's his own man, and if he wants to be in Washington, God bless him. But if I'm Bradley Beal, I'm getting the heck out of Washington. They've paid me. I got my money. They've shown me that they can't put together a roster around me and John Wall. John Wall has proven that he can't stay healthy, that he's sucking up the entire cap. It's just one of the worst contracts I've ever seen in the history of the sport. And Bradley Beal's attached to it. And they can't get a lot better because of it. They do have some young players over there in Washington. Hachimura is really good. They got a couple of our old guys, a couple of kids that we like Thomas Bryant and what's the guy with the name that you can barely say, but it looks like a regular name. God, I can't think of it right now, but Mo Wagner. When it's pronounced Wagner, but his name is Wagner if you're reading it. He's a guy that I like with a lot of upside going forward. Could be a nice role player in this league at the power forward spot. So the Wizards have a future. They've put together enough to where they can get. They could probably package some of those players and get rid of that John Wall contract, which is probably what they need to do. You don't want to give up Hachimura at all. He's probably untouchable on that team. But just about everybody else, if it'll get rid of that Wall contract, I'd do it. You got to get rid of that contract. Until they do that, they're not going anywhere. So if I'm Bradley Beal, you're smart enough to kind of listen to those who know about the cap and everything. You do your due diligence. You understand that your franchise they're capped out, and until they relieve themselves of some of that cap, they just are where they are. Get out of there, man. So that's what I got to say about that. And the Lakers are a great spot for him, and I'm sure he's probably dreaming about being a Laker at this point, knowing that the Lakers have chosen him. I think it's safe to say that LeBron James and Anthony Davis want him on this team. I don't think many people need to ask them that. We know that. And at this point, it's just about trying to get him here, and I just don't know if we have enough. Chris Paul is a name that's been floated around a lot. Kind of the same deal, but not really. I think Chris Paul's contract is a bit more like the Wall contract. So the Thunder would probably be more inclined to part ways with that contract for a lesser value. Just addition by subtraction. Even though Chris Paul had an amazing season for the Thunder, some could argue he was an MVP candidate. I would be one to argue that myself. And you don't know if he doesn't come back and play just as good for the Thunder. Maybe he's happy there. Maybe that's a good thing. They have a team that made the playoffs. So I don't know that the Thunder should be thinking blow it up simply because he's older and they have a young squad, because the reality is they have more assets than damn near anybody. All they have to do is part ways with those assets and they can bring in a superstar. Like the Thunder, I don't think people realize how great of a situation the Thunder are in because of what I just said. So maybe Chris Paul ultimately ends up staying there. But I do think he wants a championship. I don't think he can win it there right now unless they do something particularly drastic like acquiring Giannis or something. I don't think that's happening. So, I could see him moving on from there. Does he end up with the Lakers? I don't want that contract. However, just because I don't want that contract does not mean that he wouldn't be a fantastic fit on a team where we're projected to win the championship again. If we bring him in, I think we win the championship again, period. And that has nothing to do with what else happens. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Chris Paul is too much. That's too much for all. I think that's too much for everybody. That's too much size, too much intelligence, too much ball movement, too much defense, too much everything. So even though I'm not the biggest fan of Chris Paul's contract, I understand that the Lakers are in a unique spot to where they don't need to be thinking about the cap. They need to be thinking about what best pieces they can put together to make sure that we're continuing to win championships for the next 4 years, because we have the infrastructure to do so. And Chris Paul would be a great addition. The only problem with Chris Paul is he's not gonna last. We're gonna get the worst of Chris Paul because he's just gonna simply decline the Laker jersey. I don't want to view that. But it doesn't have to go that way. It didn't go that way with Rondo, did it? So it's a lot of things that could go right. And if the Lakers find a way to acquire Chris Paul, like Derrick Rose, I'll be a happy person. I just have my questions about whether or not it makes sense long term. And we don't need to neglect Anthony Davis's tenure here in terms of only focusing on LeBron's timeline. Anthony Davis is 28 years old, I believe. We need to be focused on making sure that he has what he needs to be able to flourish going forward. LeBron is going to stick around or not stick around. LeBron's legacy and his gifts are durability, probably more so than anything else. So if he's probably going to retire with a lot left in the tank. That's what my gut is telling me about LeBron James. Focus on keeping Anthony happy. LeBron will stick around just because he's LeBron James and he loves being a Laker. And I think that if you approach it with that, give them the power that they've already had, you'll continue to win because LeBron lives in the finals and he's going to make sure he's there every year anyway. So if he's not hurt, he's in the finals. And I think that that's the last thing I want to say before leaving you guys. LeBron James is going to be considered the greatest player of all time, in my opinion, someday. And I've said that on many times and on many occasions, and I'll say it here. You can't beat durability, fam. If a guy lasts 17 years and makes 10 NBA finals, I don't give a damn if another guy made 6 NBA finals and won them all. He only got there 6 times. What happened to the other years that he was there? 8, 9 years of Michael Jordan's career where he did not make the finals. LeBron James made the finals more times. Arguably with less. Definitely not arguably. This is a fact against more. Teams constructed to beat solely LeBron James and nothing else. They had no other purpose the Golden State Warriors did. So, and I could argue the same thing about the Pacers. They didn't have no other purpose but to beat LeBron James. So you got to understand that this is somebody that you're going to have to learn to start adjusting your thinking about going forward because he's still playing and he's still doing legendary stuff and he's still winning championships. So put some respect on LeBron's name. My name is BDF44 and I'm out.